Welcome to Surviving AI.
Welcome to a special edition of the Deep Dive. Today, we're doing something a little bit different.
A lot different, I'd say.
Yeah, you're right. We're sort of handing over the keys to the kingdom. We're going to be the official Season 1 recap for the entire curriculum, Surviving AI with Carlo Thompson.
And we've spent the last few weeks just buried in the data from this series.
I'm your host, and I have to admit, I'm coming at this with a healthy dose of skepticism. Because some of the claims in this series, they genuinely kept me up at night for the last week or so.
And I'm here to look at the tactics. I mean, the data we've covered in these 6 episodes, it isn't just interesting, it's actionable. My goal today is to really strip away the fear, the emotion, and just look at the raw mechanics of survival in this new economy.
Okay, but before we jump into the abyss here, we have some mandatory housekeeping. This is really important.
Super important.
Because of the nature of this information, and we're going to get into some numbers about job displacement that are, frankly, they're terrifying.
Yeah.
We really need you to subscribe to the channel and like this deep dive.
It's not just about algorithms. It's about building a community that's staying ahead of this thing. The data is moving so fast that missing an update isn't like missing a podcast episode.
Oh.
It's like missing a critical signal for your career. I mean, you absolutely need to be notified when Season 2 drops.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's set the stage here. If you've been following along with Surviving AI, or even if you're just joining us now for this recap, we have to start with the core premise.
Right, the foundation of the whole season.
For years, I feel like we all treated AI as this cool sci-fi concept. You know, robots will take our jobs in 2040.
It was always in the future, a problem for another day.
Exactly. It felt abstract. It felt safe because it was distant. A problem for our kids, maybe our grandkids.
But the data that we reviewed for this season, it just proves, I mean, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the revolution is not coming. It's here. It's happening right now.
And the curriculum that Carlo Thompson laid out, it presents what he calls a binary choice.
That phrase, it's stark, isn't it?
It sounds so dramatic. The binary choice.
It is dramatic, but based on the economic indicators we've seen, it's also incredibly accurate. The middle ground, the place where you could just coast, it's gone. It has evaporated.
So what are the two choices?
In this new economy, you are either actively adapting, learning, and integrating these tools, or you are becoming obsolete. There is no third option.
No, I'll just keep my head down and do my job like I did 5 years ago.
That trajectory is finished. The idea of retiring with a gold watch from the company you started with by just doing your job well, that's a 20th century idea.
And the whole mission of this season, of this deep dive, was to cut through all that noise, right? Because there's so much hype and so much fear-mongering out there.
Oh, it's everywhere. Twitter, the news. It's either AI is going to kill us all, or AI is going to make us all trillionaires.
Right. And the goal here was to find the signals from the noise, to use hard economic data. We're talking industry reports, academic studies, predictions from CEOs who are actually making these decisions.
Precisely. We are not interested in the philosophical debate about whether a robot has a soul.
No.
We are interested in the economic reality of whether the robot costs less than you do. It's that simple.
And to anchor us in that reality, we have to start with the one number that kicked off the entire season, the number that made my stomach drop when I first saw it.
76,440.
76,440. Say it again. It's a specific number.
It is, and that is the confirmed number of people who have already lost their jobs specifically to AI and automation initiative, and that's just in the first few months of 2025 alone.
And let's be crystal clear on this. That is not a projection. That's not some economist saying by 2030 we might see. No.
No, this is a body count. This is happening right now. People are getting pink slips today for this reason.
It's a current crisis.
And frankly, that number is the floor, not the ceiling. You have to understand, most companies will not explicitly put replaced by AI on a WARN notice for a layoff.
Of course not. What do they call it?
They'll call it restructuring or synergies or, my favorite, efficiency gains.
Efficiency gains, right.
But when you peel back the layers, when you look at their investor calls and their tech rollouts, the driver is the deployment of autonomous agents and new software. So that 76,000 figure, it just signifies that the whole transition has moved from an abstract theory to a concrete job-displacing reality.
Okay, so let's unpack how this is actually happening. We're going to go through the key takeaways from all 6 episodes of Season 1, starting with the actual mechanism of how a job dies. This is all in Episode 1, which was titled, "The 88% risk your job is already gone, you just don't know it yet."
A cheerful title to start the season.
Yeah, really sets the mood.
So this episode focused on what it called the canary in the coal mine, and that canary is the retail cashier.
Now, I know a lot of our listeners are probably white-collar professionals,
Yeah.
accountants, marketers, programmers, and they might be tempted to think, okay, I'm not a cashier. This doesn't apply to me.
And that is a fatal error in thinking, because the mechanism, the underlying economic physics, are identical.
So let's establish the baseline with the cashier data first. The automation risk there is what, 88%?
88%, it's astronomical.
Yeah.
And the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS, they project somewhere between 335,000 and 350,000 of those jobs just disappearing by the early 2030s.
And we've all seen this with our own eyes. I mean, you walk into a CVS or a Target, a Walmart.
The self-checkout area is getting bigger and bigger, and the lanes with human cashiers are shrinking. You have Amazon ghost stores where there's no checkout at all. You just walk out. The tech is already here.
So why does this matter so much to the accountant or the marketing manager listening right now?
Because it perfectly illustrates the three-stage pattern of job death. And if you can understand this pattern, you can overlay it on your own profession: accounting, law, coding, whatever.
Okay, so what's stage one?
Stage one is tech matures, the bugs get worked out. Think about self-checkout 10 years ago. It was a nightmare.
Oh, it was awful. Unexpected item in the bagging area. It was flashing red. An employee had to come over. It was slower than just going to a person.
Exactly. The friction was high. You almost wanted to go to the human line just to avoid the hassle, but now the friction is gone. The cameras are better, the software is faster, it's seamless.
Okay, the tech gets good. What's stage two?
Stage two is the most critical concept for everyone listening. It's called the financial guillotine.
I love that term in a very terrifying way. The financial guillotine. Break down the math for us.
This is the moment the CFO looks at the spreadsheet and the decision becomes unavoidable. You compare a human cashier, let's say they cost the company all in $31,200 a year.
That's including wages, payroll taxes, benefits, all of it.
All of it. And crucially, that is a recurring cost. It happens every single year, and it usually goes up with inflation.
Okay, versus the technology.
Versus a self-checkout kiosk or a sensor array, that might cost, say, $10,000 as a one-time capital expenditure, a CapEx expense.
So the break-even is, what, a few months?
Under 1 year. In many cases, it's under 4 months. And once the math looks like that, the guillotine drops. It is no longer a choice for the business. It becomes a fiduciary duty to their shareholders. The business must cut that cost to remain competitive.
Which is what triggers stage three.
Stage three, rapid deployment. Yes.
Right.
If Walmart cuts their labor costs by 40% using this tech, Target and Kroger have to follow. They have no choice.
Or they get crushed on margins.
Completely crushed. It becomes a survival requirement for the business to eliminate that specific type of labor. It's an arms race to the bottom on labor costs.
Okay, so now let's take that three-stage mechanism and apply it to the analogy from the show. The typing pool. This is the one that really hit home for me for the modern white-collar office.
Right. Back in the 1980s, large companies had entire floors, rooms full of typists. Their whole job was to type memos.
I remember seeing pictures of this. It's wild to think about.
Then the word processor arrived. The tech matured stage one. The cost dropped below a typist's salary stage two. And the entire category of typists just evaporated. It's not a job anymore.
And the argument is that if your job today involves sitting at a computer and processing information from one format to another,
You are in a digital typing pool. You are a 21st century typist, and you just don't know it yet.
and we saw this with the Salesforce data in episode 1, this is the moment where I was like, okay, nobody is safe.
The Salesforce example is brutal. They laid off 4,000 people from their support staff. At the exact same time, they're deploying Agent Force, which is their internal AI agent system.
So it wasn't because business was bad.
No, business was great. They didn't fire those people because they were bad at their jobs. They were probably great at their jobs. They fired them because the financial guillotine dropped.
An AI agent can handle a transactional customer service ticket for what? A fraction of a penny?
Fractions of a penny. And it works 24/7, doesn't need healthcare, and never gets tired. The $60,000 a year support representative cannot compete with that math. It's impossible.
And the probability stat they used was just staggering. 80% automation for transactional interactions by the end of 2025.
That's basically tomorrow.
That is effectively a total wipeout
Yeah.
of Tier 1 support, not a reduction, a wipeout.
It is. And it brings us to the core realization of that first episode. Once the cost difference becomes indefensible, the job doesn't just shrink. It evaporates. And if your job involves digital routine, any digital routine, you are facing the exact same economic physics as that retail cashier.
Wow, okay. Which leads us directly into what was, for me personally, the biggest shock of the entire season. Episode 2, The Great Divergence.
Oh, yes.
This is where we learned that everything our parents told us, everything society told us about education might actually be wrong.
The Great Divergence. It's the finding that your expensive 4-year, maybe even 8-year college degree might actually make you more vulnerable to automation, not less.
I remember reading the source material for this and
Yeah.
just thinking, no, that can't be right. I mean, we were all sold the degree is the ultimate safety net.
It was the mantra, go to college so you don't have to dig ditches.
Right. Now it turns out the ditch digger might be safer.
It was the safety net for the 20th century industrial economy. But here is the central paradox for the 21st century AI economy. AI excels at routine cognitive digital tasks.
What does that mean exactly? Codified knowledge.
Exactly. It's really, really good at anything based on rules, patterns, and data that can be written down in a textbook. And what do we train people to do for 4 years in a university?
We train them to process information, follow rules, and produce digital outputs. We're training them to compete directly with the machine.
You're training them to be really good at the exact tasks that AI is best at. And the comparison they used in the episode, which just perfectly illustrates this, was the pharmacist versus the electrician.
Yes, this one stuck with me. Let's walk through it.
Okay, so you take a pharmacist, they have a PharmD, a doctorate degree, they have a state license, they've spent 6, maybe 8 years in higher education. A huge investment of time and money.
Highly respected professional.
Absolutely. But their automation risk is sitting somewhere between 60% and 75%.
That seems incredibly high for someone we think of as a medical professional.
But look at their day-to-day task. What are they actually doing? Checking for drug interactions. That's a database query. AI can do that instantly and more accurately than a human.
Verifying dosages.
AI is more accurate because it doesn't get tired after an 8-hour shift. It doesn't misread a doctor's handwriting. Counseling a patient on standard side effects for a common drug. A chatbot can do that 247 in 50 different languages.
So their work environment is predictable, it's digital, and it's standardized.
It's a target-rich environment for automation. It's all based on codified knowledge.
And then on the other side, you look at the electrician.
The electrician probably did a 4-year apprenticeship, no bachelor's degree, no student debt, but their risk is tiny, maybe 5% to 15%.
So why? Why the massive gap? It can't just be physical versus digital.
It's more than that. It's about entropy. It's about chaos. The physical world is messy and chaotic. An electrician has to navigate a muddy, unpredictable construction site.
They have to crawl into a dark, cramped attic.
And they have to figure out why a rat chewed through a specific wire inside a wall that was built in 1952. AI cannot do that. The Boston Dynamics robots are cool, but we are nowhere near having a robot that can do that job for less than $1 million.
So the safe zone isn't about being smart versus dumb in the traditional sense.
Not at all. It's physical chaos versus digital order. If your job is mostly about manipulating things in the messy physical world, you are surprisingly safe.
And this brings us to the 4 protection factors. This was the framework from episode 2. If you want to know if your job is actually safe, you have to score it on these 4 things.
Right, and you score each one on a scale, maybe 0 to 10.
Let's run through them. Number 1 was physical unpredictability.
We just covered this. Can a robot easily navigate and operate in your workspace? If you sit at a desk all day, the answer is yes. Or, more accurately, it doesn't even need to navigate, it just needs to log into your systems.
So there's a low score.
Very low. If you're a plumber fixing a leak under a sink in a weirdly shaped cabinet, the answer is a definitive no. That's a high score. The trades win here massively.
Okay, number 2, human connection and empathy.
And this is about genuine emotional intelligence. We're not talking about the scripted "did you have a nice day" at the checkout counter. That's easily simulated.
So what's an example of genuine empathy?
A hospice nurse comforting a dying patient and their family. A therapist helping someone navigate complex trauma. A kindergarten teacher managing the emotions of 25-year-olds. We still crave and pay a premium for real human connection in these high-stakes emotional moments.
Simulated empathy from a chatbot just doesn't cut it there.
Not yet, and maybe never.
Okay, number 3, and this one seems really important for high-end professionals, high-stakes judgment and liability.
This is the signature barrier. It's maybe the most important one. It boils down to this. Who goes to jail if the bridge falls down?
Right. Who gets sued if the medical diagnosis is wrong and the patient dies?
Exactly. We need a human being to point a finger at. We need a throat to choke, legally speaking. Even if an AI designs 99% of a building, a human architect with a license has to review it, stamp the plans, and take on that liability. That liability is a massive, massive shield.
And the fourth factor was multiple overlapping barriers.
This is credential stacking. It's about regulatory friction. If your job requires a bachelor's degree, PLUS a master's degree, PLUS a state license, PLUS malpractice insurance, PLUS hospital admitting privileges.
Like a surgeon.
Like a surgeon, it's much, much harder to automate you away than if your job just requires a laptop and a password. Each one of those barriers is a hurdle that slows down the deployment of automation. It gums up the works of the financial guillotine.
Now, we also had a major update on this in the V2.0 data that came out after the episode aired. It's not just about the classic trades like plumbing and carpentry, is it?
Right. That was a key insight. The bucket of skilled trades has expanded to include what we now call field service.
Okay, what falls under field service?
Think about the technicians who have to physically go out and repair a wind turbine, or the people who maintain the fiber optic networks that our entire digital world runs on, or servicing complex medical equipment in a hospital.
All highly skilled, physical, unpredictable work.
And in massive demand. There was a great quote from Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA. This is the guy selling the shovels, the chips, in this AI gold rush.
What did he say?
He explicitly said, electricians, plumbers, carpenters are in astronomical demand. When the man building the AI tells you to go pick up a hammer, you should probably listen.
That is a powerful signal.
Okay.
Moving on to episode 3, the timeline. Because knowing that you're at risk is one thing, but knowing when the guillotine drops,
Yeah.
that's everything.
Right. This was the month-by-month countdown. And we broke it down into 2 distinct phases. Phase 1 is the immediate crisis. This is what's happening from now through 2027.
So who's bleeding right now? Who is in the emergency room of the job market today?
Number 1, as we've said, is customer service. That 80% automation number is real. The job title itself is transitioning from customer service rep to AI escalation specialist.
Meaning you only handle the weird, complex problems the AI can't figure out.
Exactly. You're the human backstop. Then you have data entry and basic clerical work. The projections there are for 7.5 million of those jobs to just vanish by 2027.
7.5 million.
It's a huge number. And then there's a big one that a lot of educated people miss. Junior legal.
Why them specifically? They have a law degree.
Because the entire apprenticeship model of that profession is dead. For 100 years, the way a junior associate at a law firm earned their stripes was by doing document review.
Billing hundreds of hours to sit in a room and read thousands of documents for a big case.
Right. During discovery. Well, an AI can read 1 million documents in a few seconds and find the relevant passages more accurately than a tired 26-year-old. That revenue stream for the law firm is gone. The armies of junior associates billing hours to read and draft simple contracts, they're no longer profitable.
So the law firms just aren't hiring them.
The hiring is cratering at the entry level, which leads us to phase 2, the acceleration. This is the period from 2028 to 2030.
And who does this target?
This is the squeeze. This is where it comes for the massive knowledge workers, the mid-level marketers, the analysts, the project managers. The statistic that really scared me here was from a major survey of employers.
I remember this one.
42% of employers expect entry-level white-collar jobs to completely vanish within the next 5 years.
Vanish. Not change. Vanish.
Gone.
And this brings up that concept you mentioned, the broken rung. I want to spend a minute on this because it feels less like a job market shift and more like a fundamental societal crisis in the making.
It's a massive systemic crisis. Think about how you learned your job, how anyone learns their job. You probably started by doing the simple, repetitive grunt work.
Of course. You drafted the simple emails, you fixed the easy bugs in the code, you reconciled the straightforward spreadsheets.
Exactly. And that grunt work, as boring as it was, is how you built judgment. It's how you saw patterns. It's how you learned the ropes so you could eventually handle the complex stuff.
You have to be bad at something for a while before you can be good at it.
Right. But if AI does all the junior work now, if it drafts the emails, writes the basic code, and reconciles the spreadsheets, how does a junior employee ever get the experience, the reps, to become a senior employee? How do they gain that tacit knowledge that only comes from doing.
The ladder is broken. The bottom rung is just gone.
We mentioned a Stanford study that's already tracking this.
How did that find?
It showed a 13% relative employment drop for recent college graduates in fields that are highly exposed to AI. It's already happening. We are creating a barbell economy.
What do you mean by that?
You have a lot of highly paid, experienced experts at the top. You have AI doing all the work at the bottom, and there's no bridge, no pathway in the middle to get from the bottom to the top.
That is a huge problem. And it's a perfect segue into episode 4, where we did the deep dive on specific professional case studies. The title was Data Scientists, Lawyers, and Accountants, Why Knowledge Workers Are Screwed.
This was the episode designed to challenge the arrogance of the highly educated knowledge worker. The idea that this can't happen to me, I have a master's degree.
Let's start with data scientists. The irony here is just, it's incredibly thick.
Oh, it's peak irony. They literally built the machine that is now coming for their jobs. They sharpened the blade of the guillotine.
And it's not just speculation. Microsoft's own internal study put data scientists on their top 40 most vulnerable jobs list.
Which is shocking. But when you look at their tasks, it makes sense. 35% to 50% of their daily work things like cleaning messy data, running standard models, generating visualizations are highly automatable.
We're seeing tools like Devin, the AI software engineer, that can resolve complex tasks 20 times faster than a human can.
The speed of execution is becoming commoditized. So what's the survival strategy for a data scientist then? You can't just be a good coder anymore.
So what do you shift to?
You have to shift from execution, from just writing the code to system architecture and AI governance. You have to become the person who designs the system, not the person who turns the wrench. You need to understand why the model is doing what it's doing, the ethics behind it, the business case for it. You become the architect, not the bricklayer.
Okay, then we looked at lawyers. We already touched on the junior legal issue, but for the profession as a whole, this creates what the show called a bifurcation.
A great split. The elite senior partners who handle high-level strategy, complex negotiations, and actual courtroom litigation, they are very safe.
They have the liability shield and the human connection factor.
Exactly. But the vast army of associates underneath them, the ones whose jobs are primarily research and contract drafting, they are doomed. Legal entry-level job postings are already down 45%. The pyramid is getting its base chopped off.
And finally, accountants. This was another shocker.
The CPA trap. People think that license, the Certified Public Accountant license, protects them, but the license only permits you to sign the audit.
It doesn't say you have to do all the prep work.
And AI can do 70% or more of that prep work. The auditing, the reconciliation, the tax prep faster and more accurately. So junior accountants are facing a 70% to 85% risk for their core tasks.
So if you're a young accountant today, you can't just be good at crunching numbers. You have to shift to advisory.
Advisory, strategy, and a new field they called forensic AI auditing. Your job is no longer to do the math. Your job is to validate that the AI did the math correctly and isn't hallucinating.
This brings up the junk in, junk out defense.
Yeah.
The host asked if the AI is even reliable enough yet.
Right. And it's not, always. AI hallucinates, it makes things up. The new human value proposition is validation and liability. You are not paid to write the code or draft the legal brief anymore. You are paid to guarantee that it is correct. You are paid to put your professional license and your neck on the line.
So the human becomes the quality assurance and the insurance policy for the AI's work.
That's the new role. And it's a much smaller role, requiring fewer people.
Okay, so far this has been pretty heavy, a lot of doom and gloom. But Episode 5 was the pivot. It was the other side of the coin, the entrepreneurship paradox.
This is the critical flip side. It explains the central contradiction in the economy right now, why at the exact same moment that these established jobs are dying, we saw 5.5 million new businesses launch in the U.S. in 2023 alone.
The biggest business formation boom in history. It doesn't make sense on the surface.
It doesn't until you realize that AI is the great equalizer. It democratizes the power that used to belong only to massive enterprises.
This is where we get to Sam Altman's prediction, right?
I'm a one-person unicorn.
The idea that we will soon see a billion-dollar company that is run from top to bottom by a single human being.
It sounds like science fiction, but the logic is sound. It's because that one human has an army of AI agents at their command.
And this leads to the CVO model of entrepreneurship.
Chief Visionary Officer. If you start a business today, your role is not to be the doer. You are the CVO, you are the strategist, you provide the vision, the taste, the direction.
And the AI is your C-suite.
Exactly. Your chief technology officer is an AI agent that writes and debugs your code. Your chief financial officer is an AI agent that builds your financial models and runs scenarios. Your chief marketing officer is an AI that designs and executes your ad campaigns. You are the conductor. The AI is the orchestra.
And there's a huge time-sensitive advantage for people who jump on this now, the adopter's advantage.
The metrics here are just undeniable. Studies show that businesses who are early adopters of AI see, on average, a 40% gain in productivity.
40%. But the other number was the one that really stood out to me.
The 37% lower operational costs.
37%. That is the number that triggers the financial guillotine on your competitors.
It is. It means if you are a resistor, if you're a small business owner who refuses to use these tools out of principle or fear or just inertia, you are going to be price undercut into oblivion by the person who does. You simply cannot compete mathematically with someone whose costs are 37% lower than yours.
So the window to establish a new AI-native business is right now.
It's the next 24 to 36 months. This is the critical period. Because right now, using AI effectively is a superpower. It's an asymmetric advantage. In 3 years, it will just be table stakes. It'll be like having a website. If you don't have it, you're not even in the game.
Okay, so we've covered the risk, we've covered the timeline, we have the opportunity. But episode 6 was all about making this personal. It was called the immunity test.
Right. Because general trends are interesting, but you need a specific number for yourself. You need a personal survival score.
And this was broken down into 5 tiers based on a 100-point scale. It combined ONET task analysis with those 4 protection factors we talked about.
Yes.
I want to walk through these tiers again because this is where the action plan lives. If you're listening, this is where you need to honestly place yourself.
Okay, let's start at the very bottom. Tier 5,
Okay.
critical risk. This is a score of 0 to 20 points. These are your cashiers, data entry clerks, basic paralegals, routine coders.
What's the status for them?
The status is displacement is happening N now W through 2027. Your job is actively being automated out of existence. The action plan here is immediate transition.
Not start thinking about it.
No, you need a plan B ready to execute by next quarter. Not next year, next quarter. The ice is breaking under your feet as we speak.
Okay, moving up a level, tier 4, high risk, a score of 21 to 40. This is where we see the junior lawyers, the pharmacists, the graphic designers doing basic work.
For you, the status is you have about a 12 to 24-month window. You're standing on that collapsing career ladder. The action for you is urgent repositioning.
What does that mean in practice?
It means you have to immediately stop volunteering for the routine work, even if you're good at it. You must pivot to become the AI expert on your team. You have to be the one who understands how to use the tool that threatens you to create 10x the value. You have to make yourself indispensable in a new way.
Got it. Okay, tier 3, medium risk, 41 to 60 points. This is your mid-level accountants, your data scientists, your project managers.
You're in what we call the transformation zone. The timeline is roughly 2028 to 2032. You have a bit more time, but the fundamental nature of your job is going to change dramatically.
So the action is what? Retraining.
Strategic upskilling, yes. You need to relentlessly focus on the uniquely human elements of your job. The strategy, the complex negotiation, the client relationships, the ethical judgment, all the things the AI is currently bad at.
Next up, tier 2, low risk, 61 to 80 points. Senior lawyers, specialized engineers, experienced doctors.
You are in the evolution zone. Your job is likely safe until at least 2035, but it will look totally different. Your action is optimization. You need to be using AI not as a replacement, but as a co-pilot to 10x your output and solidify your position at the top.
And finally, the safest group, tier 1, very low risk, a score of 81 to 100.
These are your surgeons, your master electricians, your therapists. You are protected by that powerful combination of physical unpredictability, high-stakes liability, and deep human connection. Your action is simple. Focus on your craft. Keep getting better at what you do.
But you had a really interesting philosophy about these scores. You said even if someone listening scores a 90, a very safe score, they shouldn't just relax.
No, absolutely not. The philosophy is over-preparation. No matter what your score is, I want you to mentally assume your job has a 3-year expiration date.
Why?
Because if you're wrong and your job is perfectly safe, you just end up becoming super skilled, highly productive, and even more employable. There's no downside. But if you're right and your job does disappear, you survived because you were prepared. Over-preparation is the only real safety net in an environment this volatile.
That's a great way to frame it. Now, before we wrap up, we have to talk about some of the key updates from the V2.0 data that have come out since the season launch. We touched on the trades, but there was a really important nuance about sales.
This is a critical one. People ask all the time, is sales safe? And the answer is, it depends on what kind of sales you do. There's a spectrum.
So what's on the doomed end of the spectrum?
Inside sales, scripted, high-volume, transactional sales. Dialing for dollars. That is completely dead. AI voice agents can make 1,000 calls an hour. They handle rejection perfectly. They never get discouraged. And they're 1,000 times cheaper.
But enterprise sales is totally different.
Completely different. High-level enterprise sales is part of the relationship economy. It is extremely safe and will become even more valuable. Why? Because it requires trust.
Nobody is signing a multi-million-dollar software contract with a chatbot.
Exactly. They sign it with a person they trust, a person they've had dinner with, someone who understands their business deeply. The rule is simple. The more transactional the sale, the higher the risk. The more relational and complex, the safer you are.
And there was one more update that I know is going to be a huge focus for Season 2, the family strategy.
Yeah, this was a big realization. You can't just plan for your own career in a vacuum. You have to sit down and have the talk with your partner, with your kids who are thinking about college.
Because your household risk is a blended score.
Right. If your spouse is in a Tier 5 job and you're in a Tier 2 job, your overall household risk is much higher than you think. You need a coordinated family plan. And that's what Season 2 is all about, the protection playbook. We're moving from diagnosis, which was Season 1, to specific cures.
And we have some incredible deep dives planned for that. Healthcare and public safety, the jobs we're calling the untouchables.
Geographic arbitrage. Where should you actually live in the country to survive and thrive in this transition? And the financial transition fund. How much money do you actually need to save to weather a job loss and a career pivot?
It's going to be very, very tactical, moving from what is happening to what the hell do I do about it on Monday morning?
Exactly.
So as we close out this recap of Season 1, I want to leave our listener with one final provocative thought. We've talked a lot about the broken rung and the death of the entry-level job.
And this is the question that honestly haunts me. If AI is eliminating all the entry-level grunt work, the traditional training ground that has built judgment and expertise for centuries, what replaces the apprenticeship?
It's a huge question.
We have sawed off the bottom rung of the career ladder. So how do we build the next generation of experts? If a junior lawyer never has to read 1,000 tedious contracts because the AI does it in a second, how does she ever develop the instinct, the nuance, to spot the critical flaw in a major deal that makes her senior partner?
The corporate training program, as we knew it, is dead.
It is, and what that means, and this is the crucial takeaway for you listening, is that the onus is now 100% on you to find new ways to learn. You have to build your own apprenticeship. You have to force yourself to do the hard work, to look under the hood, even when the AI can give you a quick answer, just so you understand how it actually works.
Because that's the only way to remain the master of the machine.
Instead of just becoming its operator.
That is a very sobering thought to end on, and a powerful one. If you missed any of the episodes we covered today, especially if you heard your profession mentioned in one of those risk tiers, please go back and listen to the full deep dive. Do not skip it.
And please, calculate your score. Do the work. Panic is for the people who are surprised. Preparation is for the survivors.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for listening to this special recap. Join us next time for Season 2 of Surviving AI.
Stay safe out there.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time on Surviving AI.